The day she left, the sky looked just like her eyes, gray, soft, and full of things left unsaid. It was a morning wrapped in quietness, the kind that feels heavy before you even realize why. Daniel stood by the station platform, clutching a small notebook in his hands, the one she used to write in every night. The last train had already gone, but he didn't move. He just stood there, staring at the tracks, waiting for someone who had already decided not to come back. Before we start, please subscribe to the Tears and Truths channel, like this video, and comment your thoughts. He met her 6 years ago, on a rainy Thursday afternoon in a bookstore that smelled like dust and dreams. Her name was Emily, quiet, thoughtful, and always a little lost in her own world. She loved stories about people who found beauty in broken things. He remembered how she once said, "I think everyone deserves to be understood, even the ones who leave." Back then, Daniel didn't know that line would become his life. They spent years together, not perfect, but real. She'd doodle tiny flowers on his arm when he was stressed. He'd leave her sticky notes on the mirror saying, "You matter more than you think." Every small act felt like a promise that life could be soft and steady, even in a harsh world. But love doesn't always end in fireworks or fights. Sometimes, it ends in silence, the kind where you don't even realize it's over until the person is gone. It started with her long pauses, the way she'd look out the window and say, "Do you ever feel like you're standing still while the world keeps moving?" He'd just smile and hold her hand tighter. He thought love was enough to fix what he didn't understand. Then one morning, she was gone. No note, no goodbye, just an empty drawer, a half-drunk cup of coffee, and her favorite scarf hanging on the chair. For weeks, Daniel convinced himself she'd come back. He even left the porch light on, the same way she did when he came home late from work. But days turned to months, and months turned to years. Every year, on the same day she left, he went back to the train station, standing on the same platform, watching the same silver trains pass by. Sometimes he saw faces that looked like hers, the tilt of a head, the shape of a smile, but it was never her. The world moved on, but Daniel stayed. He kept her journal, the one she wrote her dreams in. He never read it at first. It felt sacred, like opening it would make her absence too real. But one night, when the loneliness became too heavy to bear, he finally turned the first page. Her handwriting was soft, looping, full of emotion. The first words he read broke something inside him. "I love him, but I feel like I'm disappearing. He deserves someone who knows where she's going. I can't keep pretending I do." He stared at the words until the ink blurred. That's when he realized, she didn't leave because she stopped loving him. She left because she didn't know how to love herself. For a long time, Daniel carried that journal everywhere. It was the closest thing he had left of her. Sometimes he'd read it on park benches or coffee shops, tracing her words with his fingers as if she could still feel him through time. Years later, life slowly began to change him. He started volunteering at a local youth center, teaching kids how to write stories. He said he wanted to help them find words for the things they couldn't say out loud. Maybe, in some quiet way, he was helping himself too. One afternoon, while helping a shy boy named Sam write about his family, Daniel told him, "Sometimes people leave, and it's not because of us. It's because they're still trying to find the parts of themselves they lost." The boy looked at him with wide eyes and said, "Then I hope they find them, so they can come home." That simple line stuck with Daniel for weeks. Maybe that was the truth. Maybe home wasn't always a place or a person. Maybe it was something we build after learning to forgive what hurt us. Years passed. His hair grew a little gray, his voice a little softer. But every year, on that same day, he still went to the station. He didn't expect her to return anymore. He went because it reminded him of how deeply he had loved, and how far he had come since. Then, one spring morning, 10 years after she left, he saw her. He almost didn't recognize her at first. She was standing near the ticket counter, holding a small sketchbook. Her hair was shorter, her face older, but her eyes, they were still the same. Soft gray, full of stories. She looked up, and for a brief second, their eyes met. The world went silent. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice trembling. He smiled, gentle and calm. "Hi, Emily." They stood there, not as lovers, not even as strangers, but as two people who had finally found peace in the distance between them. "I wasn't sure if I'd ever see you again," she said, her voice breaking. "I stopped waiting a long time ago," he said. But I never stopped wishing you found what you were looking for. Tears filled her eyes as she nodded. I did, but I had to lose everything first, even you. He reached out, and she took his hand, not to hold on, but to say goodbye properly this time. There were no promises, no regrets. Just two souls acknowledging what once was, and what could never be again. As she boarded the train, she turned back one last time. Their eyes met, a silent thank you, a quiet ending. And as the train pulled away, Daniel smiled through his tears. He finally understood that waiting had never been about her coming back. It had been about learning to let go. That evening, he walked back through the park, where cherry blossoms had begun to fall like soft pink snow. He sat on the same bench they once shared and opened her old journal again. On the very last page, he found something he had never noticed before, a small note written in the corner. If I ever find peace, I hope he does too. For the first time in years, Daniel didn't cry. He just closed the notebook, looked up at the sunset, and whispered, I did, Emily. I finally did. The wind carried his words away, and somewhere between the fading light and falling blossoms, he felt her presence, not as someone who was gone, but as a memory that had taught him how to live again. Because sometimes love doesn't end with forever. Sometimes it ends with peace. And that's enough.